Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Wednesday webinar series for Airdomo. I am Stephanie, the co-founder, and I love what we're talking about today. And if you hear a little bit of noise, it's because I'm very jealous of Charles, my co-founder. He is in Italy above the pool, right, Charles?
Ciao. CC.
So today we're talking about something that I've actually watched evolve over the last 5 years, and it's pretty cool to watch this evolve over real time and to watch our clients actually grow this out. It used to be that a client would have a primary home and then maybe a beach house, right? And that was the model that everybody kind of lived in. Well, today, families that we work with, and increasingly families, they don't even have to be ultra high net worth families, you all, okay? We're not talking about people with millions and millions and millions of dollars that are able to accomplish this. We're talking about people who are smart and savvy investors. They are able to build portfolios at home that move with the seasons, right? And move with their lifestyle. And they're actually able to do this because they're savvy about where they purchase these homes. And when they're not using themselves, we're actually allowing these homes to get paid for by the rental income that is paying them to actually enjoy them, right? And so what we call this is lifestyle stacking, and that's what we're going to dive into today. And Charles is probably like, man, I'm going to start lifestyle stacking now that he's enjoyed 10 days now you're on in Italy?
Yeah, it keeps going, and I've got my checkbook out for that right place if I can find it here. And a lot of people are doing it. I mean, we've seen it just in our trip here, several families that have embarked on this journey of lifestyle stacking, accumulating multiple properties across different climates, different regions, and not just as a portfolio building, but to really complement their lifestyle, fill in the pieces that they want to, the places and the pieces that they want to live and achieve. So maybe 20 years ago, an affluent family's real estate portfolio might be 2 or 3 homes, like a primary, a vacation, and some, another family residence or something like that. But now, because, as you said, it's so much easier to turn properties into income properties when you're not using them. The transportation is better. The connectivity and the services are better. Now that same family can achieve 4 or 5, even 6 homes in different regions and really get value out of them, not just monetary value, but a lifestyle value, because they can use them when and how they want to use it. So let's start at the beginning, though. Let's define it. What is lifestyle stacking? Stephanie, what can you tell us what that really looks like?
Lifestyle stacking is the deliberate assembly of a portfolio of homes, usually 3 to 5, where each property serves a specific season, a specific purpose, and a specific version of the family's life, okay? They're not interchangeable. They're complementary to one another, okay? So a few characteristics that distinguish it from just owning multiple homes, right? Each property has a defined role. Winter-based. Maybe they're a family that loves to ski and have winter sports, right? And then summer-based. Where do they go and spend their summers? Where is that work hub where they can do their remote working? Where is that family heritage, right? You are in Italy because of your wife's family. Their family heritage is there, right? And then the wellness retreat. We've been spending weeks talking about how do we live longer. So you've got to put that wellness retreat in. And the family, we all know which is which, right? And so the property is chosen to be lived in for weeks or months at a time, but not just visited for weekends, okay? So together, full calendar year, so that the family is rarely in a place that doesn't match that season. And so typically in 2 or 3 different countries to spread the climate, tax, and lifestyle exposure. And so they're actively managed as a portfolio, and one team handles the whole rotation and not 5 different local services. And so I know that sounds broad and vast, but this is happening more. And again, financially, people are looking at this with the currency and they're making it work for them. And we're not talking about the ultra high net worth. We're talking about savvy investors that want to enjoy life.
Yeah, and it's a shift from an asset portfolio of a bunch of properties, a bunch of houses, to really a carefully crafted, curated life designed across geography, across countries, across continents, even, that is, purposefully, intentionally designed and built to enrich that family's life. And it's not just build wealth. Now, the building wealth is there too, and that's the great part of it, is that you can do both. And then really, as you said, it's not just billionaires. Almost, a lot of levels of affluent families can participate now because of the income opportunities.
That's right.
So we've talked about this as a framework, and you've mentioned something in the past called the four corners. Tell us a little bit about the four corners. What does that mean?
Well, when we're helping a family map out this lifestyle stack, we're looking at these four different corners, right? The four roles that homes can play in the portfolio. So, like, for example, the sun home. That's that warm climate base for the winter months, because maybe you don't want to be cold in Michigan, right? So you want the beach, you want light, you want slower living. So maybe that's Costa Rica, or maybe it's Cabo, right? Well, then maybe you also love skiing or snowboarding. And so you want a mountain base for the winter sports. So maybe that's Aspen, or maybe that is Sweden. Maybe it's Patagonia. Maybe it's Park City. Okay. Maybe you want a city home for work, for culture, for family connections and shorter stays. So maybe that's New York. Maybe it's London. Maybe it's Milan or Lisbon or Madrid. And then the heritage home, like you, Charles, you're in Italy. So it's that long hold multi-generational property. It could be a Tuscan farmhouse. It could be that Italian estate. It could be the Hamptons compound, but it's where that family gathers and the next generation grows up. So most families don't fill all four corners immediately, but they start with the one corner, usually that primary, and then they add over the course of time as that income builds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen it right here on this trip. We just came from Tuscany, where there are the hosts at the Agriturismo had told us that almost every significant purchase in their region in the last couple of years had been folks coming in from UK, United States, Canadians. So people are doing it. It's real. It's happening. And as you said, it's not happening all at once necessarily. You don't have to go out and scoop up 4 properties, 5 properties in one day. You build it slowly. You build it over time. You do it where the timing is right, and you find that perfect property. And another interesting thing is that the corners, they're going to be wildly divergent in cost, depending on where what your needs are, what your goals are. Manhattan, a 1-bedroom versus a ski base in Niseko, or some other up and coming places. So choose carefully. You can get the best of both worlds. You can be in the hottest cities and the hottest markets, and balance it with some really interesting finds all over the globe. The arbitrage and geography is very real. So let's get concrete about it, though. Owning 4 homes across 3 or 4 countries sounds amazing, but it's a bit of work, right? There are some things you need to know. So what does it take to make it actually work in reality?
Well, and this is where, everything could fall apart because things aren't getting used appropriately, right? And so, buying things can be easy, but living in it is what separates families. So some do this well and some don't. And so making sure that your houses get used for the purpose of what you bought them for. And if you bought them, to use for 4 to 10 weeks, that you actually use them for the 4 to 10 weeks and not 4 to 10 days, right? And so making sure that you have a single point of contact that manages that whole rotation, the openings, the closing, the staff, maintenance, insurance, coordinated by a team that handles every bit of this. Tax residency is intentional. And so where you spend your days can have real tax consequences. And so day counts are tracked. And so that is something that if you've chosen where to purchase, that you handle that appropriately. But also too, you want to make sure each home is ready to live, and that it is ready to also be rented, so that you're earning that income and that it too is paid for while you're not using that. And, the properties are chosen with management in mind, right? A villa that's hard to staff, hard to maintain, that becomes an extreme problem. And if you don't have a home that's properly maintained, then you're not going to.
I think that a key to success here is treating, the portfolio as a single asset class with 5 different locations, as opposed to 5 different hobbies or projects kind of run independently, randomly, and what could get to be chaotically. You have to kind of keep a central pipeline of management and discipline, and as you said, an intentional living strategy to make it really work. But let's get concrete. What are some of these stacks actually look like that you've seen?
Well, here's a great way to look at it. So, like, for example, let's say we're Americans, which we are, and the Atlantic stack. I'm on the eastern side of the US, okay? So maybe I have a primary home in New York or Boston. I have a winter house in Costa Rica, right? I love Costa Rica. Maybe I have a summer place right there in Italy, okay? So the family flies each twice a year. Kids do summer abroad, and then we do an extended in the winter, okay? Or maybe like you, Charles, you live primarily in California, okay? That's your primary home, but you've got a ski base in Park City or Aspen. Your summer home's in Cabo, right down south. And then you get a fourth piece in either Mexico City or maybe it's somewhere in Asia for the anchor, okay? So you can also do what a European anchored stack. So a primary in London or Lisbon, a Tuscan or provincial heritage estate, a sun home in Greece, a ski place in, Sweden. Look, everything that's within a 2 to 4 hour of a flying time. That's what the goal is, because when it's easy to get to, you will actually go. But having a place in, let's say, New York, and your stack is over in Australia, you're probably not going to utilize it very often, would you?
Yeah, that's and I'll take that Pacific stack. I'll take any of those stacks actually. That's
You'll relocate.
And I don't mind if it's a little further than 4 hours. I'll live with it. I'll deal with it. But I think that's what you said earlier is really the most important part. Is this is no longer a billionaire activity, right? The threshold is very, very achievable because of the income opportunities, because of the transportation, the services. Kids can go to school. You can get medical. You can do a lot of things in places where you probably couldn't have done 20 years ago. You can actually live and thrive and do the things that you would do, not just on vacation, but like work and raise a family and have all of those other things, or go to school, or all those other things are very achievable. So it's not just for billionaires, it's not just for retirees. It can actually be done with the right sort of intent and the right strategy. But if for folks that are out there that are say, hey, I'm kind of on the threshold of doing this, what's the starting point? What do you do to get going?
Airdomo.com. You need to go to airdomo.com and you need to book a concierge call with us, because this is exactly why we built Airdomo, is to help you through this process, is to get you from point A to point B to C to D, and to get everything set up. Because look, there is a whole lot of steps. There's a whole lot of stages, and there's a whole lot of planning. And first we need to identify what works for you. We need to help you with that financial model, and we need to set you up with those relationships. And that's what we do best, is help you identify all of those and help you put together that right plan. We want you to choose the right countries. We want you to pick the right destination so that you will actually go. And we want to help you financially get this model under control so that it is achievable. That is the thing that we have helped over the course of the last several years achieve for many, many families out there. And this is why we know that it's not the high ultra net worth people that this is for. It's for the middle class. And it is achievable for so many more now.
Yeah, and I think the folks for where this works out best is, when a family doesn't necessarily start out to build a 4-home portfolio. They added one at a time. They found, they found a dream property in somewhere that they really loved, and then they realized that filled a really specific need and enriched their lives in a specific way. But then they can find another that enriches it in an entirely different way. And now that you've done the first, you're more comfortable moving on to the second. And as you said, it's not something that happens in a few years. It's something that happens maybe over decades, maybe over a lifetime as this happens. But if you have that kind of strategic outlook and the right approach to it, you can really make this work and design a very, very remarkable life.
That's right. I mean, lifestyle stacking is honestly, in some ways, the natural endpoint of how the world's working now. People work remotely. Borders are friendlier than they've been in years. Travel is faster. And the right portfolio of homes lets a family actually live in the places they love instead of visiting them. It's the difference between owning real estate and designing a life.
Yeah, and that's what we try to do at Airdomo. We don't sell properties. We help families build the stack, fulfill the dream, achieve the vision. That's driving them into this search. So whether it's the right ski base at the right resort or the right sun home in the blue zone and achieving the right kind of wellness lifestyle paired with the city that you need to live in for work and for family, it's putting all those pieces together, and that's what we try to do is help you manage that rotation, approach it strategically, and get the absolute best result every time. That's the Airdomo concierge model.
That's right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Look, Charles, enjoy your last few days at Italy. I'm so super jealous, and you'll be back in the States next time we do the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we'll have to talk about Italy a little bit more. I've learned a
We
lot.
are going to have to dive in, especially since you've been there. So I love that. So until next Wednesday, everyone, thank you for joining us.